perfect. I am learning some new streaming software, so please forgive me. Again, hi, this is Jennifer Lindquist, and today I'm streaming live. I'm using some new live streaming software that I'm testing out. My lovely son-in-law, Andrew, helped me find some software that I could use so I could broadcast to more than one platform. However, you may see some video delay and you may hear some lag. I am wireless. I wasn't able to get a cable long enough to come out here, and you may hear birds in the background, the occasional dog barking, and helicopters and airplanes flying overhead. I apologize. I'm outside because it's such a beautiful day, and since I've been working on my Surfer Girl painting, I figured this would be a nice time, and we may only be here. I'm going to set a timer here. So 30 minutes. And when it goes off, I'm going to stop the chat, and then we'll just see how it goes. Alrighty, dighty. You ready? This is not a tutorial. That's my only disclaimer. I've been painting for many years. I used to paint for my daughter's rooms. Some murals I did, like, you know, Hey Diddle Diddle, the Cat and the Fiddle, and Humpty Dumpty, and I did some Winnie the Pooh Disney type characters for a while, and those were adorable. But once the girls got a little bit older, I started using canvases. Mainly the reason I moved to canvas was, I just lost part of my speaker. The main reason I moved to canvases off of murals was because I moved into an apartment and I wasn't in a house where I could just paint whatever I wanted anymore. So I started, my very first painting was not on canvas, was Tigger, because I was still doing cartoons. And then after that, because I couldn't paint this huge, beautiful painting I wanted on the wall in my apartment without getting into trouble, I bought a small canvas and I painted it there, and it was sea turtles coming out of their eggs. Not my best painting, but I loved it anyway, nonetheless. And from there, I just kind of kept painting, and I started with using primary colors and mixing them myself and painting pictures I got off the internet. And now I've moved on. At this point, I'm doing original pictures. So if you don't know anything about this, this painting that I'm currently working on, it is a work in progress. It is nowhere near done. And I may change the colors of the sky 5 times before I'm done, because you just never know. You don't really know what you want until you put it on the canvas. That's the truth. I really like the coral colored skies. We have some yellow, kind of corally into pinky purpley. And as much as I use blue and purpley skies in a lot of, and purpley, that's my own word. Can I copyright that? I don't know, or trademark it or something. I haven't figured that out. So, purpley skies. But I really like the coral, so I'm going to just kind of change the color of the clouds here. And I know a lot of people have seen me out at Wine Art Wednesdays and at the Baldwin Park First Fridays, and have seen me painting out there. I just thought it would be nice if we hung out a little bit while I painted. I'm not going to do the whole thing. As you can probably tell from the last time I did one of these videos, I've added some details. So I did add a lot of detail in the sky. I tried to create some transitions here from the yellow. So the idea of this painting, this is one of my new series, and I'm not going to paint every painting live, but this is like the big inspiration. This picture inspired the rest of the series, and I'll discuss that in a minute. Maybe I've talked about that already. I'm not sure. The older I get, the more I repeat myself. But so the idea here is it's sunrise. She's at the beach, and she's going across, in this case, into the inlet to surf. I had never actually seen anybody surf in the inlet down at New Smyrna Beach, but the girl that I took a picture of, her and another guy, they crossed the rocks. I can talk. They crossed the rocks and they went over into the inlet, and surf some smaller waves on their really long boards. Now in the series, not all the boards are long boards. Some of them are shorter boards, but the colors, the consistency of the color is what I'm trying to maintain. And the girl, I want the girl to be basically the same, blonde with the tan, beautiful girl, innocent, that's out at the beach just having a good time. I feel like that's what most of us are. We are just, even as we get older, you know, we're still that young girl at the beach who just wants to have a good time. She just wants to go out surfing. There's something about being on the waves and just, you're alone, and it's just so nice. You're just hanging out, enjoying the water, especially in the middle of summer. So the water's warm, you don't get any cold breezes, and if it's a good day, if it's a nice glassy day where everything's coming in and sets, it's relaxing, right? And then obviously it's easier to catch when they're coming in and sets. But it's really relaxing and it's refreshing. And me being a computer nerd, on top of being a surfer, it's a reboot for the brain. Like, going to the beach on the weekends is definitely a brain reboot. I know my sisters asked me before, Charlotte, if you're watching, I know you've asked me before, why is this surfing so prevalent in all my stuff? And you know, for my chats, for my blogs, for my everything, now for my paintings, I'm sure she doesn't get it. But it's just, once you fall in love with it, it just becomes part of who you are. It's ingrained in you, and it's hard to let it go. I know some people surf as kids and they outgrow it and they go on to do other things, but for me, it's just, I don't want to let it go. Like, I found myself in surfing, I guess, is what happened. I love it. I like to go by myself. I like to go with friends. I like to go, you know, my husband can sit out on the beach and watch me surf. I don't necessarily like being someone's entertainment, but you know, he loses track of me anyway, so he's watching the water more than he's watching me. But it's really relaxing. You just, I don't know. I know that for me personally, I connect with God on the water. I will sing songs, especially if I'm out there by myself. Now, by myself means I didn't go with a group of people, right? Not that there's nobody else out on the water. I'm not stupid. So surf in front of a lifeguard if you've never tried it and you're going to go out by yourself. Always surf in front of a lifeguard and surf with other surfers around you, because we watch out for each other. And feel free, you can chat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see you in the chat because this is my first live stream with the new software. I'll try to keep an eye out, but chances are I'm not going to be able to see what's going on. So I am going to paint a little bit. I'm going to go back in and work a little bit on the clouds. I really wanted this to be kind of darker and more shadowy, so that I could get the light coming from here. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this coral and lighten the sky up, but still have some darkness on the ground. So we have a lot of light here. I may lighten up her skin tone here and just keep it, maybe go even a little bit darker back here, and probably darken the surfboard back here, because I want to get some nice contrast, right? I want this to be dark, I want this to be light. And then at some point I've got to create a shadow across the rocks. But I do kind of want to repaint the rocks. This was just me working out what the picture is going to look like. This wasn't actually meant to be the finished product. So I'm still kind of working that out in my head, how I want that to look. I have a few pictures to use. I may pull up a photograph that I use, and her face isn't there. That's probably going to be the very last thing I paint. I know you're supposed to start with the face and work your way out, but for me, I need a lot of concentration. Let's be honest, I'm not a portrait artist, so faces aren't that easy for me. It takes a little bit more time, and then a lot of the color in the face isn't there, because how I do the shadows around her face is going to determine the rest of the color. So I'm going to do that all at the same time. I just kind of got a base coat, so I'm going to just skip that for now. I may work on some of the body. I haven't decided because I kind of want to reshape this a little bit. Something about it looks odd. I think her leg's just a little bit too thick, and that's what it is. Maybe I could thicken her leg there a little bit more. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. So I'm going to go ahead and start painting, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and want to join me. All right, so as some of you know, I've got my beautiful purple top on. You don't get to see it very often. I only wear it to work. Plum. It's cute, but it's too cute. It's too cute to get messy. So I bought this apron because I am a super messy painter. I probably should tie it up here, but I'm not going to do that. I wear this to my shows, and it's awesome. Anybody here do art shows? Probably not, but if you do, watch this one day, the random person who does art shows. I like my apron. I got this at Hobby Lobby because it's got pockets, and then I keep my money, I keep my phone and my little PayPal thing that plugs into my phone so I can take payments in here, and then I can keep my wallet in here also. I have just a tiny wallet. Then I don't have to worry about carrying a change purse or a change box. Really, anybody here who's interested in doing art festivals and art shows, I would say make sure you can take debit card payments, because I think in all the shows that I've done, I've had 2 people pay in cash. I think that's right, 2 people, and that's it. So I'm gonna get started. So we're not gonna have a lot of time to paint. If it's after lunchtime, I'm probably painting with wine. Not with wine, but with wine. All right, so let's see. We're gonna get away from the blue. I really like this. I like this transition, although it should be light and then get a little bit darker up here. So I feel like I haven't quite figured out how I want all of this to look. We've got some orange in here, yellow, and I'm trying to bring the yellow in this way and bring the orange across this way, and this is somewhere in the middle. I happen to think that's really, really pretty. And then as we transition out, we're going to get closer to like a blue or purple color. And here I kind of separated some clouds out. And I don't know, I feel obligated to keep white in my clouds here, but I don't think it's really necessary. I've been doing it anyway. And you know, this is a super heavy cloud, and you know how it is here, especially in Florida in the mornings. You had the dew that's settled, and you've got some early morning clouds, and then as the sun comes up, it kind of burns off the clouds a little bit. It feels like it kind of pushes them away, they go away, and then you've got just a gorgeous day. But we are here first thing in the morning because when is a better time to surf? Now, in case you're wondering, I'm not surfing today because the surf's going to be better tomorrow afternoon. Maybe I'll see you at the beach. Maybe I'll see you at the beach. All right, so I'm going to start. I'm going to use titanium white. I feel like there's never enough titanium white. And I'm not going to get too much because I'm just kind of working in where I've already painted. I'm not starting anything new right now. All right, we'll get some orange. If you can't see what I'm doing, these are my colors. I do like to mix a lot of my colors, but in this particular case, I want them to be nice and bright. So I'm using titanium white. I'm using cadmium orange hue. And Because we're going so light with the yellow, I'm going to use cadmium yellow light instead of cadmium yellow medium, because I don't want the yellow to overtake anything here. So for any of you artists out there, I went to the level 2 acrylics, not so much for the consistency, although now that I've used them for a while, I really like the consistency of the yellow, but for the metal tubes. The only problem I have, I'm using Academy, they're Grumbacher, yeah, acrylics. The only problem I have is some of the tubes, the caps break. And I don't know if you've ever had that happen where it splits at the top. So annoying. And then your paints start to dry out. So what I've done was some of them I've had to put plastic over the top, and then I just screw the top over that. And that works for me a little bit. I'm getting paint on my hands and I'm gonna make a mess. I'm a messy painter. So that sometimes works. The other thing I've done is I've put it in plastic tubes that you can buy at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Like a tube you would use for lotion or something like that. I'm trying to rinse my hands off. But the only problem with that is, you know, you end up with a lot at the bottom that you can't really use. I think it's time for a new towel. What do you think? You think it's time for a new towel? I think it might be time for a new towel. Anyway, you're welcome to type into the chat and I will be able to see your comments because this is a live stream. Alrighty dighty, so let's get started. Now, as usual, when I start painting, I have an idea in my head of what I want, but I don't always know how it's going to turn out. So you just kind of get started and you get a feel for what you have versus what you like. A lot of times I just don't like what I'm doing. Like it looks good in my head, or maybe it looked good in watercolors, but it doesn't translate. I'm going to put a little bit of pink on here also. We're going to work on some of this pink here in the sky. See if I can't fix that transition. I'm not loving it. All right. Sometimes I use my brushes to mix paints. I don't like doing that because it gets really deep into the brush bristles and gets goopy. So I like to use a palette knife. My preferred method. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll start over here. I'm just going to lighten this up a little bit. I've got this dark pink, but I don't want to use it all by itself, right? So I'm going to add a little bit of white, not too much white. I'm kind of tempted, maybe even a little bit of yellow to that, because that's going to be too bright. If I give it some yellow, let's see what happens. You know, it's an experiment with colors, because I want to get more of a coral, which sometimes means I need to add a little bit of yellow, but I think just, or orange. I don't want it to be too orangey. Be better just to add. Let's see what we get. Ooh, oh my gosh, that's really pretty. Haha. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. I think that's prettier than what I have there. All right, so, all right, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and I'm just gonna take a little bit more yellow with a little bit more pink. See if I can get more of that coral color. Get some coral skies going. So I have a painting, maybe some of you have seen it. Right now it's up in my office. I have a second one. It's a variation that I still take on tour with me when I do shows. It's called Coral Skies. So I've joined some Facebook groups, some art Facebook groups, and it's so funny because they're like, clouds don't look like that, and why would you make clouds look so thick, and I'm like, well, you know, because I live in Florida, we have hurricanes, and when the clouds come through during hurricane season, they're thick. It's like a giant weight hanging over the city in the shape of a cloud. Let's be honest, that's what it is. So, ooh, I like it. I like it. It's a little bit darker than what we had here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start back here with this color and maybe lighten it up with some white and pink as I go. So clouds, for clouds I usually use a rougher brush, but right now I'm going to paint the sky and I'll go back in to the clouds later. Let's see, this is my flat. It looks like I didn't clean it very well. It's kind of stiff. That's okay. All right, so let's just see how it looks, you know. Oh yeah, I like that. I like it. So what it's giving us is a little bit more of the orangey color. It looks really pretty. Can you see me? How do I look? Look okay? Okay. Very good. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to get some of it in here where we had some transitions. Transition of color. We're going to get some in here. I say we, me. All right. And you know, I don't mind the brush strokes because I feel like it really gives it more of a unique painterly feel. Kind of like it. I used to really worry about blending things perfectly, but I found over time that it wasn't necessary. I didn't necessarily. I'll make sure. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay. I'll try and step back so you can see. Right? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get more of this, and I'm going to define. So this is the dunes, and I gave the dunes a yellow tint, right? Because we've got this yellow hitting the front of the dunes. So I want to make sure we got some nice yellow here. And then anything dark is in shadow from this. So that is really bright. So keep in mind with acrylics, they dry darker, which is why I like to walk away from my paintings for a day, maybe, sometimes just a few hours, and then come back to it and say, I don't know if I really like it the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to paint over the purple. So it's not necessary to hide the purple, right? It might actually be good to kind of mix it so that the purple shows through here. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. Okay. I mean, because the purple is going to be dark. I do like to make sure I get the edges. You can't see what I'm painting, but I was just running off the edge there. All right, so we're going to make sure we get, and then what I will do is I'll go back over that with something, and I can actually, let's see, it's not unusual. I'm doing this on camera, which makes it a little bit harder to get everything at just the right angle. I tend to make more mistakes when I'm on camera simply because I'm trying to make sure you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just rub a little bit of this off. Doesn't need to be exactly where it was, but I would like to make kind of a smooth line to make the transition a little bit easier. Okay, yeah, something like that. Okay. All right, I'm sorry if I'm not talking loud enough. Just let me know if you have a problem hearing me. Even when this video repeats later, if volume's an issue, let me know so that I can make adjustments accordingly. Because I noticed that in my videos, I'm really quiet and I'm not a terribly loud person. And as a matter of fact, it probably shocks my family that I do this at all because I just really don't talk very much in real life. Here we go. Yeah, it's what I like. All right, so I'm gonna get a little bit more of this down here. We're gonna kind of smooge it in there. All right, and then I'm gonna do a little bit more white. We're gonna lighten it up so we get some nice transition. The coral's not a natural color, but I like it, so I want it there. I want it there. Hopefully you like it, because honestly, this one may stay at my house. I'll probably put it on display for a little while, but then I'm pretty sure I have a spot for it, so if nobody buys it, it's gonna become mine. Fair warning. I'll let you have first dibs when I go live with my new collection, but after that, it's gonna be mine. Yep. I added a little bit more yellow and some titanium white. All right, so we're gonna get some transition. I'm gonna wipe off my thing here. Here we go. All right, we're gonna get a little bit more here for transition. And I kind of wanted to lighten this up a little bit. Lower this. You know, I didn't really like the way that looked. It kind of looks like storm clouds coming in. It's not exactly what I wanted. I'm gonna make a little bit of a transition there. And I want this to be a little bit flatter so it doesn't look like it's rolling down the mountain. So I'm gonna get rid of some of this. So this is where I say, you think you know what you want until you paint it. And then it's like, not 100% sure if I like that. I put in a lot of clouds because I wanted a lot of darkness around her, but then I didn't like the way the sky looked. So I wanted the clouds to be creating the shadows, but then they were just overpowering the picture. And that's not what I wanted. All right, so now we're gonna go in here. See how we have a little bit of a transition now? And then we'll get this in here. Get that in there. And we can leave the darkest colors for further in the painting, like this. Yeah, you can kind of see how it's transitioning. So anybody who's ever worked with acrylics, and I am a fan of acrylics, you know that blending can be very, very difficult. And so as long as you're quick with the brush, you can blend nicely. But there's plenty of times when I feel like just waiting and then painting over the top and just doing your transitions does just as well as having a nice blending process. Can you see? Am I blocking? I can't tell. All right, I can't zoom in on this camera because this is my computer. And this, because you're facing me, I can't zoom in either. So if you're having trouble seeing what I'm doing and that's really important to you, you can let me know for future videos. So my plan for the next video is to have, what's my plan? What is my plan? My plan is to have, I lost my whole train of thought. Hi. Aw. I just realized that the chat wasn't coming through to my software. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are adorable. Okay. Jennifer's Ramblings. This is Jennifer's Ramblings. Yeah, totally lost my train of thought. It's gone. Feel free to remind me. I see you guys on Facebook. Nobody on YouTube, but that's okay because this will replay. All right. So you can see I've got, the good thing about titanium white is that it does cover. It's very opaque. So if you're not familiar with the term opaque, it's not see-through. So it's gonna cover your mistakes, or if there's something that you just don't like anymore. So if I'm doing something like this where I'm transitioning and I might want to cover some of this purple, then I'll use titanium white. If I want it to go over it and just be like a glaze over the painting, I'll use a mixing white. And mixing white is more translucent. Did I say that right? Translucent. I don't use it a lot because it's super light, and I really like the opaqueness of the titanium white. And that looks really bright as it dries. All right, so we're gonna get a little bit more in here, get some transitions. And I'm gonna go through and repaint these clouds later. I am gonna bring this up a little bit. I don't like the white on the bottom of that. The nice thing, excuse me, the nice thing about, you know, keeping some of this and being able to see through this, and the dogs are out, is you get the transition. You get a lot of colors in your clouds, which is just, I think, very beautiful. Hi, Ruth Ann. All right, so I wanted to transition a little bit more, so we're gonna lighten it up a tad. I've got a towel here to wipe my, okay. Our time is up, but I'm just gonna keep going. I hope that's okay with everybody. You can come and go as you please. Don't feel like you're offending me if you leave. I don't mind, because I've got to paint anyway, so you can stay and watch, or you can head out. All right, so just lightened it up just a tad. You can see that. Let's see. And then we're gonna head back in here a little bit. Now it's hot today. I mean, it's so hot that I am sweating. So today might have been a good day to use a medium to make sure that it slows the drying time. I haven't painted, I don't paint outside in the summers. I do like to paint outside in the spring and the fall, at least a little bit, because it's so beautiful. Painting, I don't want to be stuck indoors on a day when, especially today, when I wish I was at the beach. I'm going to the beach tomorrow, so it's okay. But it gets so hot here that the paint dries almost too fast. Like, it'll even ruin your brushes if it dries too fast. So you really got to be careful. So I'm going to take this down. We're going to create that transition. Yeah, looks good. Subtle. It's a subtle transition. We're going to get some in here between these. So these are meant to be two different clouds. It's probably hard to tell, so I'm going to just go down into those clouds a little bit. I think that looks really pretty. And then go up into this one, bring it up a little bit without taking the cloud away and around the edge. All right, and this ended up being really, really bright up here. I mean, it's okay, but I want it to kind of be a little bit darker on the bottom and lighter on the top. So I'm gonna take this back this way just a little bit. And that's gonna dry a little bit darker also. And what I might do is add a little bit of water so that it creates a lighter layer. When you add water, you have to be careful not to add too much water when you paint. Add too much water, then the paint won't stick later when you go to varnish. Okay, that way we can get a nice transition. Yes, I like to use my fingers, especially around clouds. And it's actually not a bad idea to go in so where it's dark and then create a little bit of a contrast. See that? All right, not bad. So then I might lighten that up a little bit more and may go more with the pink. Get a little bit more pink in there, a little less yellow. Create that transition around her head. Let's see if that's too much. Can't always tell for sure. I may have overdone it, may have made it a little too pink, but let's find out. Maybe a little too A little too pink, so I'll add just a tiny bit of yellow. Haven't added any orange to create this coral because I'm using a pink. And it's, so sometimes if I want my colors to look closer to nature, I'll just use primary colors. But in this case, I kind of want them to pop and be exciting and bright, and so I will use colors straight from the tube for that. Let's see what we get here. That might work. Let's see what we get. We got that. In case you're wondering, I am using my peel-off paper palette paper, my peel-off paper. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Okay, there we go. There's a nice transition right there. I'll get a little bit more orange in there. Still get that lightness. Here we go. I like to get that, a little bit of that crisscross. Do any of you watch Bob Ross? Some old Bob Ross videos? You have to be really careful when you watch other people paint. You want to paint, take some of their techniques, but you don't want to become another version of them. So I did learn how Bob Ross does his clouds, and I like it, but I've kind of taken it and then I do the same thing times 20. So I go in, I don't want to get her hair. It's okay if I get a little bit in there because the sun is going to shine through her hair. So that's okay, because we still got more layers of hair to go. That's just the first. It's just the first layer. Ooh. Just the first layer. I can dab my water, get a little bit of that off. That's okay. I try not to overdo it so I don't take the original color out. Ooh, okay, so if we stand back, I really like the transition of color. I'm going to take a little bit more of this around her head. Make sure the yellow is in there. So we've got some yellow, pinks, and corals. Here we go, I'm going to take it around her. Can you see? Take it around her hair. Like this. Alright. And I just wanted to see if I could figure out. Can't tell how many people are watching, that's okay. Trying to get an idea. Hi, Uncle Ed. If you're still watching, hello. I need to make a trip up there. I have one planned. I just got some stuff to take care of first, so let's see. We got some purple. So you can see we got some purple in the clouds here, some blue over here. I think this is really pretty. This I feel like was a little bit awkward. All right, so I'm going to make a transition. I'm going to kind of get rid of that. I'm going to take this up into this cloud a little bit. Just soften that edge. We're not necessarily getting rid of it, but it should reflect off that cloud. All right, so we've got, you can see how we have yellow here, orange here. I'm kind of okay with this purpliness right here. And I'm gonna probably bring more purple into the cloud and less blue. And we'll see how that looks. I forgot to bring paper towels. I highly recommend using paper towels to wipe off your brush or your palette knife before dipping it in water. And the idea is that you can throw away the paint instead of having it end up in your sewer. or all over your hands. Okay. I'm gonna rinse. I'm still here. I'm just rinsing. Don't worry, I didn't leave you. Alrighty, so let's think about this. I do want it to be darker. I don't necessarily like the blue. I'm gonna bring a little bit of orange in there, but I don't want it to be super orangey. We like the purple. That's really pretty. I just don't want the purple to be too heavy. So I'll need to bring in some orange here, just a little bit, and then a little bit of yellow here, and then maybe some orangey coraliness and blue there. So I've got my orange. I'm going to separate some titanium white and some orange because obviously this is going to be way too bright. I probably put too much. That's okay. Put a little bit of that out. Let's see what we got. So I hope, hi Charlotte, welcome. Hey Pam, if you're still here, hello. All right, so I want that to be a little bit brighter for the orange, so I am gonna bring some of that orange back into this. So I'm just gonna reiterate what I said at the very beginning. This is not a tutorial. I'm just painting the surfer girl at the inlet picture that basically inspired the rest of my paintings for this series. So my goal for this series is to get it out, I'm gonna say by the end of May. I really wanted to shoot for the beginning of May, but I got really sick and that just lasted too long and I just didn't have any energy. So hopefully, I feel like I need 2 different colors of orange. Orange. I need a couple of colors of orange. Here we go. So we can transition. We got a light color, a little bit brighter. That's pretty darn bright. You don't want to overdo it. So take a little bit more right there. I'm going to give myself about 3 different orange tones. And I would say if you want it to look realistic, it might be worth it to tone it down, but that's not my goal. It's not my goal. And then we'll go for the purple after that. Let's see, we're doing clouds. So I need more of a cloud brush. All right, so I'm sure everybody's got their favorites if you paint. So I have a couple. Pat and Pam, if you're still painting, you're gonna love this. So I have this flathead brush. Can you see this? And I have destroyed it basically. So it's got kind of it kind of sticks out on the sides. I like to use that for my clouds. I have this, and I use these down to where I don't know what they are. It's kind of a round with a rounded head brush, and the bristles are kind of separated out. I can show you over here. And I like it, but it looks too rounded when I do clouds. So I don't use it a lot. There are certain situations when I think it looks nice, but most of the time I don't use it. And then there's the old standby. When I'm making small clouds, I have 2 fan brushes. One day I'll have more, but you know, it's always a trip to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and $20 later you've got 3 whole brushes. This one is my Bob Ross. I do use it sometimes for clouds, but I find it looks too painted. Hi Joel. Hello Richard. Thanks for joining me. So my preferred brush is this one, and it's also a Bob Ross fan blender, which is kind of a quirky little brush. Here, I'll show you here, I'll show you here. And it looks kind of weird. Like it's not going to make it really pretty, but it's perfect for clouds because the bristles just kind of go all over the place. I love it. But I do that when I'm starting clouds, and then I go in with my others for details. So I'm going to use my flathead brush. And we're going to change some of the colors up in here. So what I would want is my brighter colors on the bottom and lighter colors on the top, because the light is coming from down here and it's kind of shining this way, right? And we're going to go from brighter to darker. So let's try this. We'll just see how it works. See if we like it. It's really, really kind of like that the way it was. Got a lot of blue transitioning. Look at that. I like it. I like it. Yes, I sing. If you didn't notice from the last video. Joel, are you still at your mom's? I was going to come over there this weekend. Assuming nothing major happens around here. Plans seem to change on a dime lately. And then we'll go back in with another color, maybe a little bit darker down here. I like to keep that pink in there because I like all the different colors. We've got the white highlights, so I want to cover them, but I don't want them to disappear because I like them. I like it. All right, I'm getting rid of some of that. It's kind of a reddish color. I didn't like that very much. We're going to do the lighter colors up here. Keep some of those whites. Smudge it up a little bit. All right, like I said, here is where we're going to eventually bring in some more purples. Take it a little bit darker. So I mixed up 3 different orange colors. Let me get rid of some of that because some of that's just a little bit too dark. I've got a nice dark color. Oh, you're back home. Okay. Well, I hope you had a nice trip. Glad you got back home safe. All right. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some of the orange into this area. I'm going to keep these pretty darn orangey, and then I'm going to create some purple back here so it kind of goes along with the transition. I'm going to get some dark orange here. Maybe a little too much, a little too orangey, but I'll decide that later. Probably go back in with some white. Ah, only for the day. Okay. All right. Such a good son you are. All right. Give Finn a hug for me. I haven't seen him in a little while. He's so cute. You're gonna leave some of that purple in here. Bring some of that lighter orange down here. Leave some of the purple. Most of the purple that I want is going to be back there. We want to create a transition. I've got 2, like I said, 3 different colors of orange. Orange. I've got 3 colors of orange. Just kind of pop it in there. I'll go with the darker color. And then I am going to go back in with some of my coral. I've still got some. Like that. I like that. I like that a lot. We're going to get a little bit darker here. All right, and we've got some pink. Here's where I am mixing my colors with my brush, which is dangerous because then you tend to overload your brush. But I'm okay with that. We're going to add some white because I need to get it to lighten up a little bit, but I still want that coral color, a little bit more pink in there. You see? Now with clouds, I think it's better to have a drier brush. Because if you put too much, it just kind of looks like you just kind of threw it on the paper, on the canvas. So, going back in, my coral, as you can see, gonna just add another layer of color. Not getting rid of what's there, not trying to hide what's there, but just blending into it. So our cloud is kind of going into the background by doing this. It's not as much of a focal point, which I want the clouds to be there, but I don't want them to overtake the picture, which is what I felt like they were doing before. I feel like I should turn the fans on. It's like 80 degrees outside and I'm wearing blue jeans. Not brilliant. Not brilliant. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna go back in here. I'm gonna leave some of that purple showing, some of the white showing. It kind of disappears. It almost disappears, right? Oh boy, and it's going away. Goodbye. But we still want it there. All right, so we'll get rid of some of this here. So I know that it's disappearing into the background. I'm gonna try and be mindful of that and not get it too close to that coral color. We're gonna just dabble in there. I'm gonna get some over here. Get some of that in this purple. I like it. I like this. All right, looks good. That's going to help with the transition. We'll get a little bit more white in there in a little bit. Like I said, I'm reworking the clouds because I didn't like them. I felt like they kind of took over the painting. In theory, it was a really great idea, but in practice, it just did not look the way I wanted it to. All right. I'm going to take some more of this white. We don't want too much white. We really want the clouds to be there. So let me think about this. White and orange, super bright. And we're going to get some purple in there as well. We're going to keep the purple. I'm just going to repaint the purple because I didn't like the way it was. All right, so I'm going to take my orange. I'm going to pink it up a little bit. The dark orange with more pink. Hopefully it's not so dry that it doesn't turn out. I think that'll be okay. See, we've got more of a coral. We'll get that in here. And when I paint clouds, I'm just kind of all over the place. And that's okay. I think if you're too concerned about making it look like a cloud, it ends up looking like a drawing or a cartoon. And if you just kind of throw it in there, let it be very random, then it ends up looking a little bit more like a cloud. I'm going to keep some of the blue towards the back. I really like the purple, so I want to keep that in there as well. Getting more of that pink, I think I'm going to add just a tad more pink. Get that a little bit darker. All right, get that in there. All right, so now I'm going to go back with some lighter colors and add highlights in here. Probably with my lightest. And like I said, The clouds, you really want kind of a dry brush. And I would even suggest, if you're a painter, you see me rubbing around just to kind of give it a smudged edge. Because you don't want those edges necessarily to be too defined. It should be soft. I like it to be really soft. Here, I'm going to go up here again a little bit more, and we're going to soften that up. When I get the top, I want it to be cohesive. Here. Probably got a little bit too much paint there. That's okay, we'll fix that. Maybe lighten it up a little bit. Lighten it up just a tad. Just get a little bit of that in there. Looks pretty. What do you think? Don't worry. Just don't put anything if you don't like it. That way you don't hurt my feelings. I like it. I like it. Here we go. We're going to keep that darker there. We're going to bring some lighter colors up in here. We want the darker in the back, lighter in the front because it's getting highlights from the sun. I'm going to go back in here where we've got our coral that seems to have made our clouds disappear, and just add a little bit more of this light orange in here. We'll go around the darker orange spots, leaving some of those coral in there. And you know, you really got to be careful because it's really easy for your clouds to just kind of all look the same. You know, it's really easy to have that happen. Or like I did here, which is where I ordered my clouds around my beach instead of the other way around. Should have done it the other way around, but you know, lessons learned. I haven't done one quite like this before. I do a lot of water. I don't really do a lot of beach scenes, so this is a little new for me. Ooh, I like it. I like it. Yeah. Yes. I want that. I kind of like that this one blends into the background because it's supposed to be really far away. I don't want it to look like it's sitting right on top of her. I want it to look in the distance. Get a little bit. I'm going to try not to put so much emphasis on that one and just kind of let it blend into the background. And then let's see, we've got purple. I'm going to get a little bit more of this orange in here, maybe use more of our middle color. My neighbors are outside, so hopefully you can't hear my neighbor talking on the phone. Have you ever had one of those neighbors that, it's not the neighbors that are bad. They don't bother me. Like, they don't ever come outside. Like, I don't think I've ever seen someone come outside except to bring their dog in. But normally, whenever we come out, their dogs are outside and they're just like, bark, 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 bark. Why are you outside? Bark, bark, bark. We hate you. And it's like, we live here. We've lived here for 3 years and you dogs don't know that we're here. Like, you seem surprised every single time. I don't get it. Here, get a little bit more yellow. Get a little bit more color in there. I know. It's going to look a little awkward as I go in and add some colors, and that's okay. It takes a lot of layers. Lots of layers for clouds. And that's okay. Kind of like that. Keeps it interesting. See, we've got more orange here and it kind of lightened up over there, so I'm just bringing a little bit more of that color into these clouds. I'm sweating. It's like super hot out here today. I was warned, so I have no one to blame but myself. All right, so I'm gonna add some white to get some of these areas above the tops of the clouds, because that orange is really, really kind of psychedelic right there. So we're gonna tone this down. The best way to do that, I don't want too much because that's gonna look stupid. Ah, nice. I'm gonna leave some of that. I'm gonna leave some of that brightness there, right? Because we like it. I just don't want it to take over. I don't want it to take over the entire painting. We want it to pop through. Yeah, I want to keep that kind of dark down there. So here's where you can kind of see, you got to be really careful with clouds. It doesn't take much for you to be like, oh no, what did I just do? I like that soft effect, which is why I like these brushes that have already been kind of worn down. So here what I'm doing is I'm taking some titanium white and mixing it in with my orange. So instead of having orange, that white halo effect, I'm getting a light orange. So it still kind of looks white, but it's orange. I'm going to get a lot of that highlight on the front of the cloud. What? Yeah, that looks nice. I'm going to do a little bit of that here, not too much. Just going to bring it down in here a little bit. Kind of break that color up. Keep that purpley pinkiness in here. Just add a little bit of the light. Maybe bring it further down in here. Bring some of that in here. So I like that bright orange that I brought in, but like I said, I don't really want it to take over the painting. So I'm going to bring a little bit of this lighter color in on top. Like that. I like it. Looks pretty. It looks pretty. It's usually when I know it's time to stop painting, when I'm like, oh, it looks so pretty. All right. So I feel like at some point we need to take a step back and look, and then decide, assess, do I like this? Am I happy with the colors I put in here? Did I make it too light? Did I make it too dark? So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to bring some more of this purple in here and in here, but stay away from the blue. Add some of these lighter highlights in here. I really, you know what, I've got a smaller brush for that. All right, so secret weapon. Secret weapon. You see this? It's a tiny little brush. Tiny little brush. Hopefully that focused. And I like to use it for edges. And in this case, so I've got a lot of the colors that I want, but I want to create those cloud highlight edges. So I'm going to use my tiny little brush. I'm going to wet it. I'm going to dry it off. I don't want it too wet. Like I said before, we want to keep it kind of dry. Get a little bit on there, and then we can do this. See? Beautiful. Beautiful. We'll get some of our nice light edges. And get us some transitions. And you just roll it. I can just roll it. Make sure that it doesn't get too bright. So what I like to do is any place where I have hard edges, I just take my little brush and go back over those edges. So I have some hard edges up here, so I'll take that over. Now if it wasn't this hot, I'd wait a little bit, but it's so hot my paint is drying practically instantly, so I can go right back in and soften those edges. If you're worried about drying time of your paint, if you happen to be a painter, there are mediums that you can use to help with that. So I'm not using any today. I probably should have. I'm going to put some highlights on the tops here. So you can get like an acrylic flow medium. I use Flow Aid. I may show you this several times over the course of all my videos. Flow Aid. And it's a 20-to-1 ratio. So I have a 1/4 of a teaspoon that I keep at my desk. And I use 1-to-20 ratio. And it helps just keep the paint wet a little bit longer. So today would be a good day for that, but I'm not worried about it because I'm doing clouds. With clouds, I kind of like the paint to dry quickly. So that way I can kind of really figure out where I want to put the next set of paint. So if you're just coming on, welcome. My name's Jennifer Lindquist, and this is just an artist discussion. I'm learning my new streaming software that I just signed up for. I have to tell you, I said it was only an hour, but it was more like, I think I spent 2 hours trying to set it up, testing it, connecting it. So I can't stream to multiple channels at once yet. That's gonna come. So I had to use my phone for one stream, YouTube, and I had to use my computer for the other stream for Facebook. So that's how I'm doing it for now. Eventually I'll get all the rest of that stuff worked out. We've got so many video gurus in our family. I am definitely not one of them. But I think by the time I'm done with this, I will be. Yep. Okay. And this one, I'm going to leave dark. So I may put just a few highlights here, right? Just a few. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because that's further in the background. So I really don't want it to be the focus. I just kind of want it to be there. It's there. Yay, it's there. Okay, I've got one back here. I like to get a little bit more yellowy oranginess into that. Get some of that yellow oranginess up here. Get some of that in there. I like it. Looks cool. All right, now I'm gonna go back into my top cloud here. Charlotte, are you still there? Post in the comments if you're still watching. I'm guessing you only lasted about 5 minutes since you're not into this art stuff right now. Okay. Is anybody here watching Game of Thrones? Can I just tell you, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started watching Game of Thrones. It's pretty funny. But it's interesting. It's a little bit out there. You know? If you don't watch it, you don't know. If you're a good, strong Christian, don't watch it. don't watch it. They have a little bit too much. They have a little bit of bad wordage, like bad language, which I wouldn't expect for something that's period specific. I don't think it's necessary, but that's me. But the sex scenes are just, I can do without that. I could fast forward through most of them. I just like the rest of the story. Anyway, so I do like the stories. We're on season 4 and the dragons are getting bigger. And I'm waiting for them to eat their mama, because I kind of feel like they're going to eat their mama at some point. Most people probably think they're going to eat their mama. All right, so I really like the way that this looks. I'll get a little bit more of a transition here. So I'm going to add a little bit more color so that we transition well in this cloud. Get a little bit more towards the top and in here. And then I'm going to get us maybe some purple in there, and I think that's going to be really pretty. I'm liking it. I know this is really bright orange, but I think that's okay. And I know my coral is really, really dark, but I actually kind of like it. So. And guess what? I learned that coral is the color of the year. If you didn't notice, go to a mall. I bet you're gonna see it everywhere. Coral. All right, purple. So I have purple. I have dioxazine purple. But I will mix that with some of this blue, cerulean hue, blue hue, with the purple to tone it down a little bit. And then we'll probably lighten it up just a tad. Because that purple's really bright. I rarely use it by itself. Okay. Time is at 4. I really thought I'd get more painting done. So while we're all here together, I'm going to tell you about my new series. So like I said before, if you weren't here, I apologize, you missed it. The new series revolves around this girl. So I actually saw her. Is my sound okay? I hope my sound's okay. Let me know if you can't hear me, or if you're struggling to understand what I'm saying. Maybe we can fix that. So I was in New Smyrna, and I had gone there surfing, and it was last summer. And I saw this girl with a guy friend of hers, and they were climbing the rocks to go to the other side to go surfing. And she's adorable, you know, it was like me in my 20s. Can't believe I'm not in my 20s anymore, but she looked kind of like me in my 20s. And it just made me want to create this painting. So my entire series, now you can see I'm mixing the colors here. I'm running out of palette. I'm going to mix these, the purple and the blue, and then I'm going to add some white to that. Yeah, my white's not quite dried up. We'll get that lighter. Where was I? You're gonna have to remind me. Girl at the beach, going surfing, look like me. Right, so she inspired an entire series based off of her. I have no idea who she is, but I did take her picture, and the pictures turned out terrible. Let's be honest. They just turned out, they were awful. But I did get the color of her board. I got the idea of what I wanted. I really wanted to get a picture of her looking at the water, but by the time I got my camera ready and got her picture, she was already turned and climbing over the rocks. So it inspired an entire series just based off of that one bad picture that I took. It wasn't the picture that I took so much. The picture was great because it gave me this composition. What inspired me was her, the color of her board, how pretty everything looked together, surfing at the inlet. I mean, there's just nothing like it, right? Okay, that purple's too bright. I'm adding white. So this purple is more, yeah, it's way too bright. You can see what I'm doing here. I'll do a little bit of white at a time until I get it to the color I want. And then, you know, it's nice to take some transitions. I may have put too much blue in there, but I wanted to keep it more purple. I could actually put pink in there too. You know, sometimes you get your color mixed and then you hate it and you just gotta start all over. So paint is pretty cheap, you know. Paint's cheaper than brushes, so sometimes you gotta start over. Just do it. If you don't like it, just get rid of it and start fresh. See, this is much darker. I mean, not darker, but I added the blue so it gave it a different tint than this. You see that and how that's more pink? And this is more blue, closer to that, which I wouldn't want it to be that bright. I want it to be a little bit darker. Keep some of that blue, not too much. Don't want to drop it on the bricks on my porch because that would be a great big mess to clean up. All right. So this month, if you're not aware, let's see, I'm not going to be at Baldwin Park. I didn't go to Baldwin Park First Friday. So that art festival is a little different. So they get a lot of people that sign up, and I tend to be on the waiting list because this is the first year I've tried to do Baldwin Park First Fridays. Friday is a day where I get off work early so I can do something like that and it not interfere with work. So I've been trying to do it, but it is really hard to get a spot. You can see I'm kind of pushing into my palette, just getting it deep into my bristles, but I don't want it to be thick. I don't know if that makes sense, but kind of looks more blue than what I really wanted. Because the idea was to kind of get rid of that blue, but I have to do more purple. You see how we kind of squished it up in there? Yeah, that's kind of okay. That's why we don't want it to be too thick. Because we don't want it to go over our color. We just want it to mix nicely. So if you guys have any suggestions, anything that you are interested in knowing about as far as painting, I'm not really one for giving lessons, although I am going to be doing some let's paint together kind of tutorial type things. I really think I want that to be, I want it to be pinker. All right. Not happy. Not happy with that. I'm going to add pink to it. And some whites. Yeah, I don't like it. Like I said, sometimes you can't really tell till you get it on there. I think I knew as I was mixing it that it wasn't going to turn out right. But I did it anyway, because why not? Why not? I don't want it to look like an Easter egg cloud. So that could be an issue. I want it to be purple, but I don't want it to be like super bright purple. It's a rough life. It's rough. Hard to figure out. Did I like stop my story somewhere? I was doing, oh, right, so the series. I'm gonna get back to talking about the series. Okay, so rambling, that's why I put Jennifer's Ramblings, because I ramble. I know this about me. I like me anyway, despite rambling. So, let's try this, see. Let's just see, it looks less blue. Let's see. Better. It's not as light as this. I didn't want it as light as this, but I didn't want it as dark as it turned out over here either. So, you know, I was trying to get away from that super dark blue. Do this to keep it look like, from looking like it's a giant pluh in the sky, right? Should look fluffy. I want fluffy. Can you see? Am I blocking? I'm blocking the whole screen. Am I blocking? Oh, I'm not. Okay. Making sure I'm not blocking everything. Okay. Hopefully my voice does not annoy you. I don't think I have an annoying voice, but it's my voice, so I don't know. It doesn't annoy me. It does not annoy me. That's too much. Too much. Do you ever accidentally dip your brush in a color on the side of your palette and then be like, oh no, what did I do? And you end up with a great big streak of color? Yeah, I do that all the time. I do it. I don't mean to do it, but I do it. I have to go back and fix it. And I have to go back and fix it. Yeah, there we go. There, that's what we want. We want to get some of that in there. Yes. Oh, that looks nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. Gotta go varnish the painting in a little bit. I meant to start that this morning and got distracted trying to figure out streaming software. Imagine that. I went to do something techie and what should have taken me 5 minutes took me 3 hours. Okay, maybe only 2 hours because I am a little techie. Not really techie enough. Alright, so I'm going back down here. Probably going to bring some of that pink in here, just so that it blends here, right? Because I want that to kind of be like, ooh, misty, kind of smoogey. You don't want any hard edges down here. No hard, I'm going to get a little bit of purple because I feel like that purple really needs to be in there or it's going to look like one side disconnects from the other. We don't want that. Ooh. Am I enjoying this too much? Does it bother you that I'm like, ooh, it looks so pretty. Ooh, I like it. Ooh, I'm going to add some down here to my little cloud. We're going to give that a little bit of depth. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker on the back. Yes, ooh. You know what? I think, what happened there? Sometimes it just comes together and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that. I'm gonna make this a super soft transition here. Super soft. I like the bright colors. I want a little bit of that purple in there. Yes. Oh my gosh. All right, hopefully I like it tomorrow. So, like I said, it's worth it to step away from your painting before you call it done. I step away several times and then I come back because I know there have been plenty of times when I've stepped away from a painting and come back and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks really nice. But I hated it when I left. I don't know what that is. What is that? What is that when you hate your paintings? I don't know. Looks like I'm running out of battery. So I think we're gonna be done with our streaming session here pretty darn soon because I seem to be running out of battery on my laptop. I did not have a place to plug it in without, you know, unplugging our outdoor fridge, the beer and water fridge. So here we go. Yeah. I'll transition that a little bit more, don't worry. Don't worry, I'll fix that transition. It won't stay like that. It won't stay like that forever. Get a little bit of pink in there. With the others, I really, really like. I really like them. This would almost be a good day for the pool if the water wasn't so freezing cold. But it's going to be too cold. Yep. So I can't really do the pool today. Boo! And it's too hot. It's too hot to use the hot tub. Too hot for the hot tub. Unfortunately. There we go. Get a little bit more purpley. There. I have a tendency also, if you haven't noticed, I put my hand here when I paint. So I have a tendency to like stick my hand in the purple over here and then come and put a big old dab of purple on her face and then I gotta wipe it off so it doesn't completely ruin the painting. I'm gonna leave a little bit of that. We're gonna get some of that in there. I'm gonna get a little bit of that purple back here. See, I don't like, try to be careful not to put it on too thick because it just doesn't look right. So some people will use a brush. You can do a brush to kind of fluff up your clouds. I've kind of gotten in the habit, sometimes I do that, but mostly because it dries so fast, I'll just rub my finger on it. Learned that from one of my Facebook groups. So if you're an artist and you're just starting out, I'm in 2 Facebook groups. One is Acrylic Painting for Everyone, and they're really great at giving you tips if you have questions. Like every once in a while now, not as much as I used to, I'll be like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. This looks weird to me. What do you see? To try and figure out if they see the same problems that I do so that I can work them out. Ooh, I like it. So I'm gonna just add some little dabs in here. Yeah. Just a little bit. Yes, and a little bit more on this side. Just because that's a little darker. That's nice. Bring that up a little bit. I kind of like that the way it is. Yes, I'm going to bring a little bit more in here. And I have to say, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty doggone happy with the way that looks. We're going to just do a little bit. I know it's a little different than what you see in some of these paintings, but honestly, I like the shadow on the ground. I like the light on the top. I like the transition here. I like how this is kind of all over the place, the transition. So I may go back in and fix that, but we are running out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video so that I don't run out of battery, and I'll review the videos that I've posted, see how they look. If I end up having to be plugged in, hardwired for live streaming, then I'll have to take this into my office. And that's okay. It's just, my office is really small. It's not really where I want to paint. It was such a beautiful day. I wanted to come outside. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Friends and family, if you're watching this video and you feel like I don't sound like myself, I'm not talking like myself, please let me know, because I have noticed, you know, I may talk one way in the office and I talk one way to my friends, and then maybe I'm talking a different way on the video. I'm trying to be myself. I'm not 100% sure how that's coming across, but your feedback is very much appreciated. Maybe don't put that in the comments if you feel like I sound terrible. Maybe just text me. I take constructive criticism, but for now, so I made some changes to my clouds, and I happen to think it looks really, really good. So I may or may not change this. I kind of like the fact that you can see my paint strokes and see the transition, and I just rubbed paint all over my painting, so I gotta fix that. Good job, Jennifer. And then I probably will not paint the girl on camera, because you won't be able to see what I'm doing, because like I said, I paint like I draw with my hand right up, and when I do faces I'm like this, so you can't really see what I'm doing. So I'll do that on my own. There is a chance that I will video when I remake when I go in and do a second layer on my rocks. I'm going to add some texture, and I may add some sparkle and maybe get it a little closer to what the actual color of the rocks look like. And I will go back in with a little bit more shading in here and a little bit more contrast here and darken this up. But I'll probably bring you in for the rocks. I may not bring you in for the rest of this. So if you're interested in seeing it, please let me know. If you'd like to know ahead of time when I'm doing these videos, if we want to get these scheduled, I'd be happy to do it. I don't know if this is going to be something I do regularly, so I'm just kind of testing the waters to see what you think. Please let me know what you think. I enjoy seeing you come in on the chats. It's really cool. So that's it, and I'll see you later. Goodbye, mer people, mermaids, and mermen. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully soon I'll see you at the beach. Bye. See ya. All right. Live video. We gotta turn it off. Stop. There we go.